Just a few? Can I see one?
I think you zoomed in on that.
I missed the last bug. Where was it?
It was a mosquito.
Oh, a mosquito, forget. And she's doing it in our brand new stainless steel sink. Yosef, on the other hand,
Has learned how to use a knife.
has making
Wait.
the noodles.
He's not making.
Well, he is chopping the
I'm
noodles.
making them into noodles.
Right, he is making the bletlach into noodles.
Did you add water?
Mommy
Did you add water?
is...
Did you add water? No water. Right, water.
Mommy is cracking the eggs and scrambling them. Let's zoom in on it. Let's see some wrist. Come on, wrist action. Honey, wrist, come on. No, your wrist is too tight.
I got a tight wrist.
That Jill, show her. That's the way. Jill's got a good wrist there.
Let me try that.
And Jill is the absolute expert on...
She learned from somebody else.
Well, she is the absolute expert on frying the bletlach in our frying pan. Now, this frying pan, dated, let's see if we can pick up the date before we even tell you. Why am I going out of focus here? It won't focus that close? Why am I going out of focus? Time out while I check my focus. Am I on? I'm on auto. Everything is on auto. Why? Oh, I know why. Because it's too narrow to focus on.
Oh, so focus it over here against the egg. So you got it?
No, because I'm getting only the
Well, the date
background.
says,
But the
Debbie.
date, wait, here I got it. Do I have it? There it is. It says November 14th. Is
Yep.
that? 1876. And we have been using this frying pan, and only this frying pan, for making the Pesach chicken egg noodles for as long as most of us can remember.
That's easy stuff.
Now we will return in a moment. We will return because right now we're going... Well, are you ready? The egg? You don't have to announce that, really. Are you ready, Jill?
Almost.
Well, wait a moment
We're
then.
here. Daddy's going to start smoking in a minute. Here, I'll tell you if we're ready. Do you think if you just put a little salami grease in it? Well, you like salami and eggs. Joe?
Yeah, but...
Yeah, but. Okay, we're ready, Daddy. No.
Go ahead, Jill. Let's see what you're doing. Jill is now giving us a demonstration.
Ready, really.
Oh.
Jack?
We'll come back for the next one then, Jill. We'll come back for the next one.
Did anybody find Miriam? Daddy will be good. It'll be good, Dad.
We'll come back for the next one. Where is Miriam? We are now here in the den where Mother is fast asleep on the couch. Mother, are you fast asleep on the couch? Mother is fast asleep on the couch, being too pooped to pop. And Dede, on the other hand, is having a party with Amy. And I thought I heard Miriam somewhere. Where's Miriam? There's Miriam, too. They are having a party together. Barbara, in the meantime, has totally disappeared, having been... Barbara went to bed. We're now back, ready to check Jill making...
Hey, Jenny.
There it goes. Watch it. Over and under. Or over and out. Now watch the folding action there.
Check the dates in the background.
Just a minute. I'm trying to get the folding action. Watch out. Now look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Just look at that action there. With beautiful. Joe. Hi. Your tonsils look a little green.
Mine doesn't have I don't have any. Shari, do I cover it with water? Yeah.
Beautiful. You gotta hold it towards the end. I showed him how not to snip his fingers off. And then into the bowl. Look at that. What class.
Next.
In the meantime, the next one is in there already. It is, and we still haven't even begun the badika.
Oh, we've had
I don't think you wanted to get that on tape.
What?
Yeah.
It's a little late.
Yeah.
Oh. You mean we're late for the
Not
badika?
right.
What?
Shari,
It's not right?
change this to the
Well,
soil.
put it this way.
The soil
Yes.
put back in here.
It's supposed to be done first thing in the
You
evening.
guys,
Well, this is the first chance I'm getting in the evening. Doesn't
No,
that
no,
count?
no. Like before you eat and stuff.
Well, we started eating before it was evening.
But like you shouldn't.
Oh, sorry. Nobody told me. All right. Hey, have you found any more bugs, Shari?
Yeah,
Big ones or little ones?
tiny ones.
Squishy?
Not too close, not too.
Oh, good. Okay, we are going to fade out now so that I can go do whatever it is I was supposed to do that I shouldn't have talked about.
And here's a green bug.
Oh, let's see.
No, it's not. It's just
Oh, we're going to fade out.
Oops, not.
I got that on the tablet. But anyway, by way of introduction, we're sitting here, and it is Chol HaMoed Pesach, Motzei Shabbos,
In the
and
year 1987.
that too. Tufshin Mem Zayin.
5,000 what?
Tufshin Mem Zayin, right? 5747, right?
Yeah.
And we're just sitting here talking to Mother and Aunt Dede about whatever comes to mind.
Things gone and past.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we talk about or you tell us about, and
Things were so...
but we never remember them. I tell my friends about, my mother told me that there were bears on Ocean Parkway, or you didn't see the bear on Ocean Parkway, you saw the stone that said that whoever was killed by a bear. But you remember Brooklyn when it was farms, okay?
King's Highway, when there was a small stores on it, unbelievable. And to compare them with what they are today. It was like a little, main street in a small town. And it grew in unbelievable proportion in a very short time.
But that's recent history.
But yeah.
That's recent
But the old
history.
history really goes
Now we're
back
talking
to
ancient history. Ancient history.
As your mother experienced it.
Well, as both of you experienced it. I mean, growing up in New York, Mother, you started talking about that your mother, Grandma, didn't come in through Ellis Island, but she came in through Castle Garden. Where was Castle Garden? Now, I've heard of.
No. It was
But she always used to talk about Castle Garden. I didn't know what Castle Garden was.
I think it was this side, like the end of
The Battery?
Battery, near that Siemens Museum.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in that area.
Because I recently heard about Castle Garden, maybe.
It was at that area.
Before they had what do you call it? What do they call it? That they just
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island. The immigrants used to come in through Castle Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother always used to talk about Castle Garden.
All right, but
I didn't know that she hadn't come in through.
mm-hmm.
Do you remember the organ grinder? That, to me, that's it. The only thing I remember really of the east side is the organ grinder.
We always, the organ grinder used to come along with the monkey.
With the monkey.
And we
And all
used to
the
dance
children
to
would
the,
dance in the
we
street.
used to dance to the organ grinder.
Especially on Saturday. I think you came Saturday,
You
right?
danced on Saturday to the
I'll
organ
tell you why
grinder?
it was Saturday,
I don't
because
know
during
why,
the
but-
week, all the streets were covered with
Push carts.
push carts. So he really couldn't come around. But on Saturday, it was such a delightful thing. And that's my only memory of the east side. Very delightful.
But the German bands,
They came that I don't remember.
They used to play in the
Back of the house, the backyard.
in the backyard.
That
and
was in Williamsburg, though.
don't be silly. On the east side, they used
Where did you live on the east side?
We lived on Pitt Street.
Old Grand.
Oh,
First,
okay.
we lived on 25 Pitt,
Yeah.
which was between Delancey and Broome,
Mm-hmm.
right near the bridge.
Right.
And then we moved from there to 9 Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
That was a new house they had just put up, and we moved into that house.
When you say a new house, what was it?
Stone, it was
3 floors?
and it had,
Kind of, you know, 5 floors? Walk
it
up.
had the bathrooms in the
It had the bathroom?
No, there were 2 bathrooms on each
on
floor.
each floor. That
There
was
were 4
the height. The
There were
height
4
of
tenants. There were 4 tenants on the floor, and there was 1 toilet for 2 families.
There was 1 toilet for 2 families?
2 families.
but
There
that
were
was
2
the height
toilets on the floor.
of living, but we didn't have a bathroom. We didn't have a bathtub.
When we wanted to take a bath, we went to my grandmother on Attorney Street.
Attorney Street was high class?
That was higher class.
Why? Now, what did she have? Which grandmother? First of all, which grandmother?
So the kitchen.
Sora Gisha. So talk to me about Sir. I mean, first of all, who was here? I mean,
Everybody was here.
Sora Gisha,
My father's mother came at
your
the
father's mother was Mima Khan.
Yeah, well, she came at the beginning of the
Never
century.
did she of the
She came at about 1900,
Mm-hmm.
and I could still smell the smell of the bagage, the baggage she came with, this elliptical.
Now, you're remembering, now you were in 1900, you were how old, Mother?
I was 2 years
You were
old.
2 years old.
So that maybe it was 1904 that she came.
It could have been 1900, you could remember it.
No, I died. And she came over with she brought my mother the, what do you call it, the bench lift, candlesticks, and she brought us a fork so we should be able to whip up the whites of the eggs. By the time we got through with the fork, it
had 3 prongs instead of 4.
because we had lifted so much of it. And that's what her whole belonging was. Everything that she owned was in that, what do you call it?
Basket, what was it? Basket.
Basket.
I was basket.
You weren't alive. You weren't born.
You were born now.
Not before.
I was around that, and my Aunt Torba came at that time.
Did you like Torba?
Huh? My aunt,
Torba the one you didn't like?
No,
yeah, my
yes,
Aunt
Torba.
Torba was very nice.
Torba and Freud.
He was
Uncle Freud?
He was very spiteful.
I remember Uncle Freud.
Uncle Freud was very sharp.
I remember visiting Uncle Freud in Williamsburg. What did he do?
Williamsburg.
He was a buttonhole maker.
A button?
They lived on Rodney Street, which is one of the nice at that time. Rodney
And
was beautiful and had a
And he was
church
so
of young
sharp that he lived about 92 years on Verena.
And the other day, Grandma said, would you like to have some farina? I said, you sound just like Uncle Freud. Offering. Verena was what he had twice a day.
He was sweet
Verena.
and weak. He was
Well, if you only ate farina and
He was
twice a,
only 8.
you'd be weak too.
and he was sick and he was so sharp and he lived to the ripe old age of 90.
Tell
They
me.
were nice.
So anyway, but, all right,
My
so
Aunt Torba worked for Yeshiva Torah B'das. And she worked so hard for it that by the end of her life she was blind.
I remember that too.
And she was going crazy because she was blind. And she couldn't take it. And all the years that she gave to that yeshiva, when she died,
I paid no attention to her. She was there every day in the kitchen. She helped with the cooking. She brought in food for the cooking and the serving for the children. For years, when it first started, yeshiva told her to die. And then they gave her none, which was in contrast to what my grandmother, Surgisha, they lived in
an Eastern Park.
That was real class.
Yeah.
But before that, they lived on Howard Avenue. When they lived on Howard Avenue, they had a farm in the back of the house. And Grandma used to spend a lot of time with her. And Grandma would go outside with her apron and pick it up. I could see it like it was today. And she'd pull up a head of lettuce, cabbage, and load up her apron.
On Riverdale Avenue.
I don't remember where.
On Riverdale
I
Avenue.
thought they had a goat, but you say they did. So I thought they had a
Riverdale
goat.
Avenue, which was
Did they had ducks? Or were those other farms? Because you used to talk about goats and ducks.
I thought that they had all of that.
And they lived on Riverdale Avenue. And it was a two-family house.
Yeah.
And on one side where black people lived, and my grandmother lived on the other. And there was no such feeling of black people living there. My grandmother had no feeling
Nobody
about
had feeling about it. I spent a lot of time with them. But Grandpa wasn't there anymore because I don't remember. Was she living with Uncle Abe and Jay?
That was after he died, but they lived on Riverdale Avenue. He was still living. He died on Howard Avenue.
That's Chaim Dov.
Yeah, he died in 1911. In January 1911.
Now tell me more about Surgisha.
Surgisha, she was a wonderful.
This is your mother's mother.
Yeah.
Oh, she was so wonderful.
My father's mother had, I don't know whether...
Mimachana.
Mimachana. They called her Mimachana because my Aunt Torva called her Mimachana because she was an aunt to her. A Mima is an aunt. So Torva called her Mimachana all her life.
But in contrast to my grandmother,
And when my mother told
Yeshiva Chaim Berlin. Uncle Abe was its first president. Uncle Abe was the first president. And they worked very hard for that yeshiva. And she had many people that she helped in the most beautiful way. When she gave her zdukah, she didn't give it in money. She gave it in service. She gave it came a Friday. She prepared bags for every woman who needed. They'd come and they'd pick up a complete shop. It was fish, it was meat, it was holly. And they walked out as though they walked out of the store because she felt that they must not be embarrassed. They must not be made to feel that they were getting charity. They were getting what they needed for shopping. So everything about it was as though they came out of the store. And nobody knew that. And the nice part was that when she died, the young people, the students in the yeshiva, carried her body into the yeshiva.
the only one who
Never happened to her. Never did it to another woman. They carried her into the yeshiva. And the whole service was held by the students of the yeshiva, by the heads of the yeshiva. It was beautiful.
That was what year?
She died in 1921.
It was beautiful. But
It
was a recognized service, beautifully done.
And Dede was there.
I spent a lot of time with That's a lot.
But,
My mother used to put me, I was a little girl, used to put me, I think it was on a car.
around
the
family
bus.
car.
Must have been a car.
They were
Trolley
not
car.
buses.
A trolley car.
And I would ride to there. But I must tell you something that happened there that I think you'll get a kick up. I was very young, maybe 6 years old. And Uncle Abe, he had a tremendous sense of humor, and he teased me like David teases. And sometimes I took it, sometimes I did. It was a little bit uncomfortable. But one Friday night, we're sitting around the table, and I put up my hand, and I said, I wanted swords. So I said, shit in my hand. Well, never let me forget it. You know, to the day he died, or that day he died, but the last time I saw him, he put out his hand and he said, shall I shake your hand? He never let me forget it. You know, we're Jewish. Shit means poor. Means poor. I was a little kid. I said, shit in my hand. No, he never. It was unbelievable. It was something he never let me forget. And sometimes I think of it even now, and I get a kick out of it, that a man could, you know, go through life, but after all, he did die at a young age. But I saw him the last time, I think in Israel.
In Israel. That's where we saw him. He was 93.
So he takes me aside, and he's kidding me, and he said,
And my father's mother, when my mother told her that I was going to go to high school, go stop this, shikut sadarbit. What does that mean? Send
let
her
it
to
go to
work.
work. Let it go to work.
She doesn't have to go to school.
Who said this?
That's the...
My father's mother.
Mother, I didn't know her very well, because I...
Now, Grandpa's father?
Grandpa's, yeah.
What?
Grandpa's
mother.
father died in
She
Europe
lived-
Europe.
when Papa was 16 years old.
What was his name?
Okay. Yehuda.
Then Yehuda, like.
Oh, that's what Jerry's name there?
Yeah.
No, I didn't, I get...
So he died before Grandpa came over, because Grandpa
Yeah.
came over, he was 19 already.
Yeah.
Grandpa came
He
over,
died on Simchas Torah.
right, because Grandpa always had your side on Simchas Torah. He always davened Musaf
Yeah.
for Armenians.
Yeah.
But now, Grandpa came over in 89 or 90?
In 90. My mother's father came in 87, I think. And the big...
Chaim Dove came in 87.
And the big...
Whipstorm was in 88. The blizzard was 88.
The blizzard of 88 was...
So Chaim Dove HaKohen was here for the blizzard of 88.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We often heard about that.
Yeah.
He would tell you about the blizzard?
The big blizzard of 88.
Mm-hmm. What did he tell you about the blizzard of 88?
Just that he was here, it was a big blizzard.
Oh, that's all he said.
Well, you told me that the snow was up to the first story. It covered the entrance. You couldn't go in and out, you told me. He said it was up to the first story of the houses.
But what?
That's how much snow it was.
But at that time, in the early century, they had lamp-lighters.
Mm-hmm.
See, things have changed so, and the lamplighter used to come out and put on the light, use the light.
Mm-hmm. The street lamp.
He had a pole.
They were gas lights.
He had a pole, and he'd light the gas as he went down the street. But
You remember that. You remember the lamp.
Yeah.
Did they talk about the fire engines?
No. What about the
What
fire?
about the fire engines?
Well, the fire engines, you said it give me nightmares. Because we lived on Pitt Street, and Pitt Street was on a steep incline. And I was always scared of when those horses, there were 4 horses
Pulling the fire engine.
pulling that round big pot-belly thing. Why we don't have that anymore?
Well, the potbelly thing generated was a steam engine was a steam engine
Yeah.
that pumped
They
the
had
water.
horses. Didn't they have horses?
Oh.
The fire engine?
I had 4 horses pulled that thing. And I was always dreaming that those horses came down and was squeezing me against the wall. And they used to come down with so fast down that hill.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to dream about it.
Mm-hmm.
They used to come down. That is another thing that went out with the news.
Right. So, all right. So you started on Pitt Street, and first at 25.
Yeah, we lived.
And then
I
at
was
number
born
9.
on Ridge Street.
You were born on Ridge Street. Okay. When you were born,
But I don't remember.
you don't remember Ridge Street.
She doesn't
No, I
remember
don't
the day she
remember
was born.
Ridge Street.
She doesn't remember the day you were born.
She
How
was
come?
born on me. Maybe she remembered the day I was born. I don't know.
No, no.
Now, when you were born, all right, on Pitt Street, there was Uncle Julius and Aunt Ruth and yourself. Was Uncle Milton born already?
Sure. Oh.
You don't remember. And Aunt Dede was born on Pitt Street too?
You don't know where you were born?
You don't remember.
Oh, we used to go to school on Broad Street. Public school 92.
What about stamps?
On
Turn that down.
Stamps?
Well, we used to go to the educational alliance.
That's on the east side?
Yeah. On East Broadway. And we were supposed to bring money for the poor people. See, we were rich. We were supposed to bring money for the poor people. This thing was run by the Bethel synagogue,
Mm-hmm.
which is right with the Temple
Emmanuel?
Manual.
So it was a reform.
Yeah, of course. And but we wouldn't bring money. So we used to buy stamps and bring the stamps.
How much did they charge for coming?
They didn't charge anything.
Well, how much was worth of
We used to bring 5 cents. Why, Shari, don't forget, we
Okay,
used
so
to bring
how much was
5 cents worth of stamps from rich people.
Where'd you put it?
In our pockets. When we used to go to the theater, we used to put the money in it too.
Not the money, the ticket.
Yeah, the ticket.
You didn't put the money.
No,
Where'd you do buy the tickets
Wow.
Friday?
So
and we used to pay a quarter, don't forget.
That's a lot of money. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
So we learned a lot of, we had very fine teachers. And as a matter of fact, I got a book, a little book of poems I got.
And the prize.
Dubby, didn't they have a marking on the wall, I seem to remember here, and that you couldn't go in unless you reached that mark?
No.
No?
Something like that.
Was it Ruth who told me that?
No.
They had a mark on the wall. In order for you to be able to join whatever it was going
That
on
I
there,
know of.
you had to meet that mark, be that size, otherwise you couldn't.
Very shrimp you were in
Not
trouble.
that I know of.
Ruth told me, I think it was Ruth.
All of us girls used to go every Saturday, and then we'd go home to my house, and my mother had children for us, and we would all go there and have children.
Did you have a regular stove, or where was the children made?
First of all, which apartment? This is where on Pitt Street. Now you weren't here for Pitt Street. This is a new number 9 Pitt Street, a new building. It has 5 floors,
Yeah.
so it's a walk up. 2 bathrooms on every floor.
2 toilets.
2 toilets, no
Oh,
bathrooms. No, just toilets.
Oh, God.
And we used to have an Italian man who used to come in every Saturday morning. We'd have everything on the stove. And he would come in and make the stove.
You mean like to stoke it with whether you
Well,
told?
it was a cold stove.
Oh, he would light it?
He would light that in Williamsburg also.
Oh, so he would come in and light it?
He would make it.
What do you mean make it?
He put the coal and the wood
Yeah.
and
Then he would come back again and make sure it was burning, because that kept us warm.
There was also heat. It wasn't
Oh.
just.
Well, it wasn't only for cooking purposes,
But it was
but we had that in Williamsburg.
because we didn't have any heat.
I think we had that even on what's that street we lived on in Williamsburg in that new building?
Division?
We lived Cork Division.
Driggs Avenue.
Driggs Avenue. We had somebody come in on Saturday and make
And
the
that was
stove.
a new building.
And we used to take the children to the baker every
This is
Friday.
when you lived in Manhattan.
No, I remember. My memory of Manhattan is very small. But when we lived in
In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn,
In Williamsburg.
on Driggs, right?
Driggs Avenue.
Driggs Avenue.
Why didn't you take the children there Friday?
Friday, we would take the children for the 2 kids. That I remember very well. She had a cloth that she put around the top and tied it. And her name was on the cloth. And he would put it all into the
So who
stove.
would bring it back on Saturday?
I don't remember that. Who would bring it back? I don't remember.
One of us.
Was that
Oh,
someone?
and the children? Oh, you didn't hire someone to do that?
I don't remember. I suppose tourists brought it back. I would assume it would be. When it was cold, any one of us could carry it. But when it was hot, I don't know. That's been somebody's dream, I guess. I don't know.
But this little Italian man, for a nickel, he used to come and make the stove and then come back and stoke it, you know. Make sure that it was burned for the rest of the day. All for a nickel.
Very good.
Talk about Simchas Torah. You're looking through the floor. You said the
That was on
Division
Division
Avenue.
Avenue.
That was
In the
Division Avenue.
steeple.
Where the women sat upstairs.
Yeah, the only-
Forget Simchas Torah. What about when there was an opera?
It was
anything.
It was
All
a
you
one
had was a
family
hole
house
in
that
the
they
floor.
bought. So the men down downstairs, and the women were upstairs, and they made a hole in the ceiling down.
And when there was an opera and you had to throw candy,
So you threw it?
so what did they tell? How did you know when to throw it?
I guess they called
Did they
it.
bang on the pipe?
What they yell?
I don't know. I didn't go that often.
You didn't go that off at the shul. They didn't yell Viber shit,
We used to go to Young Israel.
right?
We used to go to Young Israel.
You went to Young Israel even then, mother?
No, yeah, not from there, Dubby. From there, from
And Knott's Mansion was
yeah.
Young Israel. Young Israel
it
was
started about when mother was beginning to grow up. That was one of the first, that was the second one I think.
Well, maybe we ought to talk about school.
But,
We haven't spoken about school at all.
yeah, that mother went to high school. I went to evening high school. And then I went to Hunter. And then
First, you went to what public school did you go to?
I went to public school, I think it was 52, is that number? On East 3rd Street. East 3rd Street and... What was the number? East 3rd
I don't know. You
We
went.
lived on East 3rd Street. In Brooklyn, I'm talking
When did
about.
you get to East 3rd Street? Wait a minute.
Was it East 3rd Street or 3rd? What is it?
South 3rd Street?
South Side.
Oh, South 3rd Street.
In Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
South. There
And
is
I
no
went to
East.
52. It was right down the street there.
And what school did you go to, mother?
I went to public school 92 on Broome Street, and right next to it was pastor. That was the pastor of the church, and he used to give us flowers, and we all used to go to the pastor. And our pastor, give us flowers, and he was, I don't know why he used to hand out flowers like that. And, you know, I only thought like myself the other day, come Christmas, they used to hand out little stockings with Santa Claus on it.
Used to hang.
And we used to hang up stockings on the mantelpiece, and Julius and Lucy used to give
Didn't they
me.
put coals in there?
Yeah, used
They
to
used to
put
put
so
coals
many
in. I
to
do
give me.
coals.
I was the favorite one because I was the youngest, and I would get everything. They would take care of me. And when my mother wasn't afraid that we wouldn't be religious or nothing. Today,
It's a different world today. It was a simple kind of thing. It didn't have any real meaning. Everybody was hanging stockings. We hung stockings. I remember hanging the stockings. But I remember throwing a coal in the stocking. But what else? I
and
don't remember.
the Christmas with the Santa Claus, my mother didn't care.
I think my mother had a very, I think, back on, as a very good attitude. That she used to say, you don't fall a horse too close. You give a horse leeway. And
So
she
you were
did
horses?
that. No, she used that as a symbol. And that was her line of thinking. And if she gave her children a little leeway, they would retain the things that she wanted. If she bought them and she held them too strongly, they would give it up. First, I think because she saw that in her brother's house.
In Uncle Abe's house.
No, not
No?
Uncle Abe. What was that?
Uncle Strocia, my namesake.
In Uncle Sturge's house.
He was so very fine.
He was so, and she saw what happened to him.
His children, what happened to them?
They all gave it up.
They all intermarried,
none
right?
of them from now
Who were his
so
children?
religious.
No?
Was so
Who were his
religious.
children?
None of them.
His son Saul married a girl from Burr Park, you see, and her family was very orthodox. So she became a what do you call it, science?
Christian Scientist?
Not a Christian, a
Christian
Yeah.
Sciences.
but whatever.
And she became a reader?
That's Christian Science.
Yeah. And my mother got her arthritis so bad that she couldn't move her hand. So she wanted to come and read to us. She would make her better. My sister so far.
But
So-
How beautiful.
So she was
Because I don't ever remember hearing about his
She
children.
was
at all.
And the daughter married an usher in the movie theater. He never made a living.
I used to come to Uncle Abe and he used to help him out.
And she
Because she was
wasn't
very
allowed
poor.
to wear
And she had a lot of children, I remember. Didn't
Yeah.
she have a lot of children?
she wasn't
There was
allowed to
one
wear
girl that I remember.
her sleeves short.
The children had to wear long sleeves, high neck. He was very, very strict with her. And my mother had a fear of that happening to her. So she gave us leeway, like hanging a stocking, that kind of thing. Making us feel that we're not really that restricted. I don't know what other concessions she made, but she did make us feel that we were being held by a
Well, it's not
strong-
only that, but the authorities today in school don't have that leeway because the ACLU would get after them. Church and state had to be separated now.
Why, when you were in school?
No,
They always started the day with assembly
And the prayers.
and reading prayers from the.
And Christmas was a very big time in school.
Mm-hmm.
Very big time. They had all kinds of Christmas carols and Christmas plays, and it was a big thing in
Mhm.
school. Nobody stopped them. The Jews certainly did try.
And the Jews certainly didn't have a foothold. They didn't do
But if he is
anything.
strong enough to take a position on it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the city itself. What was the city like growing up? I mean, as children, both in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. All right, we've already spoken about the trolley cars and the fire engines with the horses. Now, the trolley cars were electric already, or were they horse-drawn trolleys?
They were horse-drawn.
They were horse-drawn trolleys. So we're talking about before the electric trolley.
They were horse-drawn.
Now, when did they go electric?
I don't remember the changeover. I do not remember when, but they were horse-drawn.
When Shmuel was hurt, was that a horse-drawn trolley?
No, there was not. That was
Already electric. That was not a trolley.
That wasn't a
Oh, it was a truck, not a trolley.
It was a trolley.
I always thought it was a trolley. Why don't we tell the story anyway, just so
it
that
was a truck. They were going to New York, Milton, and he was going to Cheder.
Because you were already living in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
But they went to Cheder in New York?
New York.
Why they go to... There was no Cheder there in Williamsburg?
We had just moved.
Oh, okay, you had just moved.
And Milton says, let's jump the truck and let's go in by the truck.
Instead of taking the trolley home,
They were going into
they jumped
New York
on a
at
truck.
They
To go in.
had to come home.
They were going there.
to New York.
I always thought it was coming.
No.
There you are.
So they jumped on the truck, and Seymour's foot got entangled
In the chain.
in the chain.
It was a chain-driven truck in those
Yeah,
days.
and they couldn't get his foot on. So they had to cut his foot off.
Really? You know, I never knew.
You never knew that? I knew that.
I didn't know.
You didn't know that that's what happened?
No, I thought he was hit by the truck.
No.
I thought he was hit.
Oh, Dede, all these years. That's why Uncle
the first
Milton was
time I
such an
did it.
angry man, I
It's
thought.
the first time I
He blamed himself.
He blamed
Oh,
himself. And
Milton was guilt-stricken throughout his
his
life.
wife.
His whole life he was guilt-stricken. He never got
That's a hard thing to carry.
Never got over it. Never got over it. And I don't think that my mother helped either. She never got over it. I, who became the youngest, felt
He was
her-
younger than you.
He was younger than I. So when this happened to him, if somebody would say, "Oh, to her, this is your youngest,"
She'd make a comment.
young as I was, I could see what happened to her face when it was happening. I could see it now. I mean, because she never got over it, she made his guilt a very strong thing. We went to Arizona together. He was sick. He was a young man, but very sick.
I never knew why he went to Arizona. I knew you went to Arizona.
Because
He had
lost
just
his wife.
lost his wife.
He was married for a short time to someone he loved a great deal. He knew that she had a heart condition. He knew that she was a very sick woman. But nothing would deter him. He
Her
wanted
brother was a doctor,
and he
and her brother said she should not get
get
married.
married. So they married, set up a home. I guess he felt
I never knew that. This I never knew.
Oh, this he felt that because he set up a complete house.
And
But
they
this
were
is
not
how they set
so
up.
observant. You know, she was not so observant. But she was so meticulous about her milking and
She
her
had her
plating.
every dish, every piece of furniture was, the house was complete, but I think the whole thing was 9 months old. About 9 months old, she died. It was devastating. And I was sick at the time, and I was the doctor was suggesting I go to Arizona. So
Do you read where now, excuse me for interrupting, but do you read where now they say if you have asthma or whatever, don't go to Arizona because it's worse there than anywhere else? I bet it wasn't, but now it is. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Why is that?
Because they built up.
Because they've imported, no, all of the grasses, they made Arizona green, so it has all the same kind of pollen and everything else.
Yeah, I read about it too.
Yeah. Anyway, so you were sick.
They felt that if to take him away from the environment, from the breakup of his home, from the breakup of his love, he was very much in love with his woman. She was a very nice, as I remember her, she was very nice. So he went with her. We went by car. And we traveled from New York to Arizona, which in itself
was an adventure.
Yes, it was an adventure because it was most unusual. It was a very unusual trip. And, but it didn't happen, and it didn't make that much difference. He carried, I think that he associated her death with his guilt. It was one of the things that he was being
punished by.
That was part of the punishment. The other part was David. The other David was another punishment. And he felt that this was what he was.
What?
David?
My cousin David. David Richmond.
David Richmond is...
why don't you tell? I mean...
Well,
You know,
David and Jeffrey, Milton's two sons.
Well, David, he had a prolonged...
Oh, right, he was retarded.
And
he was probably oxygen starved during the delivery.
But he had a wonderful, what do you call it? He was spoke beautifully, but there was a second part of his brain that was absent.
He was not up to par. At 20, he was 12. I don't think he ever got
Oh, no, he
12.
was more mature than 12. He is. Well, when we talking about past tense.
To work,
We're talking about past tense.
sometimes he was wordless.
He was working.
So who did Milton remarry?
Pauline
Richmond.
Right.
Pauline.
So he always associated these things as related to his terrible guilt. He was being punished for what he had done to his little brother. It was a very sad thing.
But sad in many ways. I mean, sad what happened.
It was
and sad.
Not only sad in what happened, but sad in what it did to so many lives. In his life, at no time did he put it aside. It was terribly sad, but he couldn't. And we went to Arizona, but he never got out of it. He was always moping, and it was difficult. He would make things a little bit difficult because of the moods that he was in. And of course I wasn't younger and not quite as, it was difficult to understand sometimes. So I'd call home and we'd have a big to-do about it. Somebody would point out, I think this is all about it. But we knew why, but it didn't help them.
Right.
And we were living with, you know Hattie Fight?
Yes.
We were living with her mother and her little sister and her brother. She was there because she had asthma, right?
Hattie's mother.
She had asthma. I didn't have asthma at the time. I just had polyps. But it was quite a time. It had long, far-reaching results. I mean, the impact remained throughout our lives. I think
The impact of the tragedy.
his mind.
I mean the trip.
No.
The tragedy.
The tragedy.
That preceded.
The tragedy. Because Mother never, I don't think ever, did a day pass that she was free of it. She carried it till the day she died. I knew about it. I felt it. In all our relationship, I felt it. Mother would probably think I'm crazy, but I did.
No, what?
I don't
She
think,
wouldn't know.
What? Wait,
I didn't think that
You
that
see, she did. And I knew that she did. There were any number of little ways that I knew that she did. Particularly because I took the position in
being
the
the youngest
family.
once again.
And the family that she felt that I didn't belong
when we
in.
go to visit my mother and father,
So it was a little, it had
So,
an impact.
they're
And
not
again,
in the same
yeah.
line.
There was a bond between
They're not allowed.
Milton.
Milton and me. We
The
both.
men are in one.
I think this
the
was the
women
bond
are in
between. We had a special kind of a
So
bond.
then,
The bond was that.
So
And
we
in
not the
our
trip.
college, she always said that
Row and
he
my
thought more of
grandmother
me than he did of her.
my
We didn't have that kind of a relationship.
was there.
We
And
just
in
had
the
a
same
bond. We had
row,
something between us that was
in the same
very
row,
strong. His guilt
Seymour.
and my inability to serve my mother the way she
And
should have
there's
been
a
my
big
youngest.
tombstone.
You know what I
there.
mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
a
And it all
brother.
tied to the same event.
It was tied in the
It all tied to the same
Now,
event.
tied in by the
Tippy,
same
strange to say,
incidents in our lives.
Tippy
Very
had the
true.
same
So,
kind of an incident
she
in
always,
her life.
she never realized why either.
About
We never
the same
discussed it.
time, she had her little
We just knew
brother,
it was there.
an accident
Yeah, but-
happened,
She
and
just
he
knew
was
it
killed. She lived on 10th Street then, and he was killed. She doesn't know where he was buried. She hasn't the vaguest idea of
Who was this though?
Tippy had a brother who died the same year. That
Really?
Yeah.
That's. This is the first I heard of it.
Yeah.
She has no
I never
idea.
knew that. They were 8 children.
He died, he was killed, I don't know whether it was on the street by a car or what. And she has no idea where he was buried.
That's
And nobody ever goes to
well, of course they don't know.
She doesn't.
But well, you know that we always go to.
Why I always go with you.
We always go. Whenever we go.
He lies there up at the end, towards the end of the row.
Right up at the end.
Where there are about 3 children lying
Yeah,
there. There are
right,
3 or 4 small stones.
But this is a big stone.
What?
This is that he had.
He has a regular stone. He doesn't have a baby stone.
No.
He doesn't have a
I'm trying to remember.
No, he has a big stone.
He has a big, like, for regular person. He has a big stone.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. But she had never noticed. She doesn't know what happened where they buried.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that her mother, in all the years, that her parents never visited. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
This is the first I hear. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I knew the family well.
You sure that it's
I
not
knew
a
the family
later creation?
No.
I find it hard to believe that her parents would not visit.
Yeah.
No. She doesn't
I never
know where.
talk about it. Whereas my mother was an ever-present thing. She never.
I think it happened about the same time.
Really? He didn't know about that.
No.
So what else about the city?
The city, tell her about, you see, when we moved from 10th Street, we moved en masse. Bruce moved, Julius moved, mother moved, and we
Where was this? From where to where?
we were living on 10th Street.
Yes, and then you moved.
And Ruth and Brady and Fanny, Dallas,
All of us moved at the
Moved.
same time.
The Flatbush, you mean?
No, to East 7th, to Ocean Parkway.
Right.
We
Oh,
moved
but
Before that,
Fanny, Dalek, and Ruthie and Brady.
moved to Ocean Parkway. Fanny lived between S and T.
They all lived. Fanny lived in the
R&S?
same building.
They all moved into the
To the
same
same
building
building.
in 1802.
At first.
1802.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Fanny moved
Moved
over.
across the street and down the block.
Yeah.
Because I remember one Yom Kippur,
To a
eating.
family house.
What? Yeah, I remember one Yom Kippur going to Fanny Dalek's to break my fast. Don't ask me why I remember this, but I remember going
Where
to
were
Fanny.
we living then?
We must have been living in 1677.
So why would you go to her house to break his fast?
Because, who's her daughter?
Shari.
Maybe she took me. I don't know. I remember going to don't ask me why. I went
During the afternoon.
in the afternoon.
Oh, not at night.
Not at night.
Oh, you were a little
I was a little
boy.
kid. How old?
Oh.
I was 8 years old when we moved away. So how old could I have been?
Yeah.
I mean, when we moved away, Fanny, were they still living there? When we moved to 9th Street, they weren't living on Ocean Parkway anymore.
No, they were living uptown already. Fanny Dowett. Wasn't she living in New York?
No, Muncie.
They weren't. Yeah, they could have been living in Muncie already.
Fanny Dowett.
Well, where was she living in New
She
York?
was living on...
Yeah, before they moved to Muncie, they lived in New York.
downtown in New York.
I mean, because they didn't move they didn't move to Muncie in the early 40s from Ocean Parkway.
No, they lived
But
downtown.
we're skipping up to the 40s. I mean, here we were back, let's go back.
To when?
I don't know, about the city when you were growing up, what it was like. Besides the horse-drawn trolleys, we decided that the trolleys were horse-drawn.
Personally, I don't think, as I say, my only memory was really of the organ grinder. Would you believe it?
That's in Manhattan. But what about in Brooklyn? In Brooklyn, all right, we've gone through some of that.
Yeah,
Now, well, then we were grown up already.
For grown up, you were teenagers.
Well, then when we moved to Brooklyn, I was married already.
You were.
When you moved to Brooklyn,
And now when we moved to this part of Brooklyn.
Oh,
I know that. I'm talking about
when
before
you
that.
moved to Brooklyn, you weren't married.
No. I mean this part of
No,
Brooklyn.
I'm saying let's go back still, before we
We
hit
lived on
Ocean
South
Parkway.
3rd Street. That's what it was called, South 3rd
South
Street.
3rd Street.
That's when I was
Nobody was
going
married.
to... No, that's when I was going to Washington, maybe.
You went to Washington Irving High School.
And I was
Yeah.
going to 52. And one of the things I remember when I was in 52 was the end of World War I.
Mm-hmm.
World War I, when that ended, it ended in November.
1918.
November 11th.
And the whole school was closed. It was cold during the morning. We were in school at the time.
11 o'clock.
See, I didn't remember that. But it was
The 11th hour, the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month
in school.
is
And
when
suddenly the whole school closed, and every child we were lined up. I don't know how many hundreds of children were in this. And we walked all up the Broadway, and the trolleys, everything was stopped. They had Broadway had trolleys on it. Wasn't that so? Trolleys, I don't remember. But whatever, all traffic was stopped, all cars, everything. And the children walked up and down the streets with blaring horns. I remember that even more so than the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Second World War, I was working, and I couldn't get away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all hearsay. But the First World War, the excitement of that school and the people around, everything was so tremendous. And that war ended.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a sense of small town in the center when we first moved to Brooklyn. It didn't have the feeling of a city.
Why was that?
Because everything was on a small scale. The stores were small, the buildings went up to 3-4 stories. There wasn't these tremendous buildings we have today. And then when we moved to... And then
Now these buildings had bathrooms in the apartments?
Yeah.
Did they have a bathtub, I think? Or did
Of
we
course.
use the bar stool? No?
They had that.
And we had electricity.
Yeah. No, yeah.
On South 3rd Street we had electricity. Then we moved to what street is that where we had that beautiful Tiffany chandelier in the dining room? What street is that?
South 9th Street.
South 9th Street. We moved to South 9th Street. We had a beautiful
You know,
park.
I kept the buttons from Dad's jacket
On his uniform.
from his uniform. I couldn't keep the uniform because it fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
It was so, it was
So where are the buttons?
at home. I have it in the drawer.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
From South 3rd Street we moved to South 9th Street.
And this is now what year?
Yes, you want to.
It's about 1960.
It was after the, no, were we living on 9th Street when the war ended? I think so. We were living on 9th Street.
So that's
when
what it
the war-
says, about 1916.
Yeah, it must have been about then. And they had this beautiful, what they call Tiffany
Mhm.
chandelier.
And then we moved to Triggs Avenue. And we were married from Triggs Avenue.
That's already 1927,
Yeah, Bruce was
26.
married there.
26.
Bruce was married there. Dubby Jr. too. Three of them were married from Triggs Avenue. But when we moved to Ocean Parkway,
Where did I see the buttons lately? Where did I see the buttons? I have the buttons. I can't remember where I...
What else do you remember about growing up?
I don't know.
I mean, the early years.
when we moved to Ocean Parkway, it was like moving into a small country. Ocean Parkway led to Coney Island Avenue, but to Coney Island.
Mm-hmm.
We used to walk there. It was like, I used to walk there all hours of the day or night.
We used to walk there on Saturday.
And on Saturday night, just walk there from our home to there. It was ever since there was, it was like living in a small country.
Was paved, Ocean Parkway was paved.
Parkway was paved, but East 7th Street that we lived on was not paved. No, that was paved, but Avenue West wasn't paved.
Because
Everything
I told you
above
what
Avenue
happened
West wasn't paved.
when I was giving birth to Jerry. And they took me along in a taxi along Avenue West, and it wasn't paved. I'll never forget that thing.
It hurts.
But
That hurts.
it helps.
It hurts.
It helped because by the time she got there, she was giving birth. And all around now, the Coney Island Avenue, the Coney Island Hospital was a little hospital. And I used to go and play, and all around it was just grass and unpaved, unbuilt. And when we walked to Coney Island, we always stopped around there because I don't know what was. It was a wonderful place to hide. It was a wonderful place to fool around with. We'd run
And
through,
on
and it
Ocean
was,
Parkway,
you were in the country. They didn't have houses there.
the
all
police
those
station
places.
with the horses.
The police.
Yeah.
They had a police academy there, and
And several places.
Yeah.
They have,
the police academy, and that's where they learned to ride a horse. So outdoors.
you remember that,
Big time.
don't you?
I remember the Riding Academy on Newkirk Avenue.
No, there was one right on Ocean Parkway.
I mean, on Ocean Parkway in Newkirk, there was a...
No,
That's
that
the one
was
I remember.
riding where I used to.
Yeah, but that's I don't remember the police.
No, the police. This was an academy that was not
No,
open.
that I don't remember.
Near about Avenue X or something.
Yeah,
I never went down that far. I was
Yeah.
too young to go there.
No, over there they had, this was not public, it was part of the police department. And right across the street from us, from 7th Street to Ocean Parkway, was a tremendous farm. Beautiful farm, the whole, like, at least 4 blocks, that farm. They had that farm, they had a regular farm between 7th Street and Ocean Parkway. And then they had a little store in it where the police would get their harness. They had all kinds of things growing there. It was a farm, Dubby, don't you?
I don't remember it.
But it was there. From Kings Highway to Avenue R. From Kings Highway to Avenue R. That's where Avenue R is above Kings Highway. That's up to 1802, but on this side. It was on this side of the street. And in the middle of this thing, they had a little store that they had the harness and the different things.
That was
for
close
the
away
police
from
department.
1802.
Right, for the police department.
Yeah, but I don't
They
remember
got
a farm.
Yeah, there was a farm there. Right there, Dubby. From 7th Street to Ocean Parkway, from Kings Highway to Avenue R. Was a farm that belonged to someone there, I forget.
That's before, wait a minute. Because ultimately the Stiebel was there.
No, the Stiebel.
Ultimately, the one that I remember.
Not there. The Stiebel was wasn't it across the street from, well, ultimately they built on it.
The Stiebel was between Ocean Park, between Kings Highway and Avenue R.
It was above that. Now,
Between R and S.
it was between R and S.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, dear.
No, it wasn't. It's right where the Young Israel is now.
No.
Yes. Well,
Yes, and that's between Kings Highway and R.
I don't remember, but then gradually it started to build. All the way up there, from above Avenue S, Ocean Parkway, Aunt Ruth's house was built. It was a new building when they moved in. And beyond that, they hadn't built yet. Then they started to build one-family homes. We used to go to look through each one as they built them. They were beautiful. On her side of the street, they were building beautiful homes. But when we first moved there, they didn't have that. And the whole area from S to Coney Island was really built while we were living there. And Kings Highway was just a little country store. The stores was tiny. S&T. We knew S&T when he was a store. Remember S&T?
Who's S&T?
It was a little bit of a store. And he had some pocketbooks in it. I think he had anything besides pocketbooks. I don't think. It's a little bit of a thing. And it gradually developed. Today it's one of the nicest stores on Kings Highway.
Let's talk a bit. We spoke before. We spoke a bit about Uncle Milton. You haven't spoken about Uncle Julius at all.
No, we haven't.
Or in group for that matter.
Yeah, and Bertie.
And Bertie.
Joe.
But I mean, but even
But they were so
but young,
proud of the
earlier years. Earlier years.
Yeah, they were very close. But all of them were very close. Like Bertie and Joe were very close to the family. Were they part of Julius's friends?
Joe and Julius were friends.
And Bertie and Ruth were friends. So that they were in the house long before they was considered married. And they had a terrific relationship with my parents. It was something to see. She had a very great sense of humor. And they fooled around with her like my mother. My
Fooled
mother.
around with who? Bertie?
With Joe and Brady, the four of them. And many a time I'd come, and they'd run, in the dining room we had a big table. And they'd chase her around the table. Isn't that funny? They fool around with her, and then they chase her around the table over and over again. I remember that so clearly. Do you remember? How they used to chase her, they used to fool around with her a lot because she had a terrific sense of humor. And she loved us. She was very fond of that group.
Mother?
And she played with them. But really, isn't that funny? They chase her around the table. I come in to find that she had no memories like that. But I do. It's very funny.
What? Say what you want.
Yeah, go ahead. So good thing.
Joe's mother and father. Joe's father was a chauffeur, and we knew them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe and Julius were practically raised together, and some of the other boys too.
Mm-hmm.
And Brady's family was very close to our family.
That was Lewis.
Yeah.
G'day.
No.
Not G'day.
Brady's uncle was married to my cousin.
Bertie's uncle was.
Married.
What was his name?
His name was Lewis.
Well, I know that was the family name.
Was she the woman who used to go roller skating? The woman who used to go roller skating?
Well, what's...
Go ahead.
Who went roller skating?
Okay.
I don't know where him, but he doesn't love it.
So they knew each other very well. We knew Brady's mother before she passed away. We knew the family very well.
And what was... So,
That's why
right.
the relationship
Right.
was really
But
great.
let's talk a little bit more about Uncle Julius, because we really haven't talked at all about your early recollections.
That should be her department.
So I'm waiting
I
for
don't
my...
know what to say. What should I say about Julius?
I don't know, what should you say? He was the oldest. He was your...
Yeah.
Right? The oldest brother.
And we loved him.
The oldest in the family.
What was his Hebrew name?
Yehuda.
But Zito, do you know that if you
Yeah,
don't
he was
know
named
his
after my
Someday
grandpa's
when you
father.
look up at the signs, you'll see a Zito. It's Zito something or other.
What sign?
Yeah, Zito.
What signs?
No, there's a sign, there's a store on
Yeah.
13th Avenue.
Yeah.
It's owned by Zito.
Yeah. He was Yuda. He was Yuda Light.
Somebody else was named Zito. I don't think that I don't see it. Y-E-T-E-O.
Well, so what was it?
His name was Yehuda. His Hebrew name was Yehuda. His name was Yehuda.
I don't know.
Yuda Light. Yuda Light. No?
Yeah, it's
No.
Yehuda something. Wasn't it Yehuda?
His name wasn't Jesus.
Right. That's right, because Grandpa was Yosef ben Yehuda. Not Yehuda, just Yosef ben Yehuda.
And his name was Yehuda, really.
Yeah.
His name was Yehuda. As a matter of fact,
So then where did Jerry get the middle name from?
I don't know. Don't know.
Well, you gave it to him.
Oh, no, Jerry was not that named after my paternal family.
Oh, he was named after who?
He was named after George's mother's brother.
Oh, that was Yehuda.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, what recollections do you have of Uncle Julius? I mean, it's interesting because we always hear stories about Aunt Ruth. Not always, very complimentary, but we always hear stories that, but
No, he was very nice. I always felt bad for Julius.
he was my big brother. Didn't I find him trying?
Because Julius had such potential.
I'm trying to think.
He went to the,
It wasn't good.
didn't he go to the,
The relationship of a big brother to a little sister, I think I never really grew up in his eyes.
he wanted to go
Like
to
you
college.
and Howard. Howard never recognized that you grew up. And I think that
He
my
wanted to go to
relationship to
college.
Jules was like
Mhm.
that.
That's interesting.
I think it was that because we had a nice relationship, like a
He died so
relative,
young.
whom I really didn't know well.
He died
He was
so
my
young.
brother. He was my big
He
brother.
was, what, 60? Or
Oh, he
Julius?
wasn't 60.
He died in 51. He was born in 95.
So he was 56.
Milton was 54.
No.
He's 55. Was he more than that?
He died in 61.
Yeah. So how old was he?
He was born, he must have been born in 1900.
1900.
That's wait. He was younger than
No, he was older than us.
you. Older than you and
He
younger
was
than
older,
mother.
Yeah. And I think there was somebody in between us. Between you and him, or him and me, I don't know if there was a child
That died as an infant.
No, that was,
I don't know where she came in between us, between Milton and me, or between Milton and us, I don't know.
Now, where is she buried? That one you don't know.
She was only a few months old, so I don't think it was, I don't know.
So he wanted to go to college,
yeah.
but he couldn't.
My father was in and out of business, and he couldn't make it go. And my mother needed the money.
Grandpa was in coats and suits.
No.
No?
No.
Start out in hair pieces.
He was
Hair pieces. Wigs, I guess, and things like that. Wholesale.
Yeah.
Manufacturing. With his brother. Right? I'm only
With
now-
Freud.
Now it's hearsay,
With,
because I don't...
Not with Freud.
was Aaron.
Not
With
Freud.
Aaron.
Aaron. That was-
Freud was a brother-in-law. Freud was a brother-in-law?
Right, Aaron. His brother
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
So,
He had a nice relationship with his older brother. What was his name?
oh,
Papa's older brother, the one who lived in Harlem. Sam. They were rich, very rich. They lived in Harlem on 110th Street.
and Lennox Avenue.
Lennox Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
That was the height of fashion. They were very
Mm-hmm. So,
But they came to visit us on a weekly basis. Every week.
so Grandpa started out in hair pieces, and that didn't succeed. And then what did he do?
Then he went into... It was the oppressor or what?
No, I think he went into
Men's clothing. I think he did
Contracting.
lapels.
no, contracting. Men's suits, I
These
think.
things I don't know.
But he didn't make out, and he wasn't doing well, and my folks needed the money. So he could go to college, and he must have been very disappointed.
How do you know?
He was, because he was the type person that wanted to go on studying.
Mm-hmm.
He was always studying. He's studying a lot of, what do you call it, the religious, he was always studying the Torah, you know what I mean? He always was
Right.
sitting and reading
Yeah.
and learning and learning. When he went to Florida, he was busy learning
Mm-hmm.
and studying. This was, but as I say, my relationship with him was on that.
How
big
many years
brother,
older was he?
Little girl. Well, he was about
95 to 808.
he was
13
about
years.
10, 11 years old. or
13
something
years.
like that.
13 years, Shari, just
Yeah,
figured
about
out.
13. Yeah, he was a good deal older than mine. So that he was grown up. As a matter of fact,
He was
the
only 3
three of
years
them
older
were like
than I
grown
was.
up. And I, they were the
He
grown
was
up.
born in 95. Lucy was born in 97.
They three were a
In
trio.
1990, I was born in
98.
We were the three of us.
They three
Yeah,
sort of belonged together.
yeah.
So then there was just Milton and I. I mean, between Milton and me, there was a good deal. There was a difference in our age. I don't remember how many years there were between us. But he seemed grown up, nice, and I seemed little. I didn't sort of fit into any part of it. Part of size of it. But on a general terms, there was a nice relationship between my mother and the children. You know how she was with the children. You knew her.
Mm-hmm.
You knew her.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you got to know her, that she had a terrific sense of humor that had sort of tampered down.
Mm-hmm.
It was not quite like it used to be. But as I remember her, when she used to fool around with us, it was as though she was one of them. They treated her that way. They treated her like she was one of the kids. And when they were in the house, if the house was full of laughter and she more or less created a good sense of it. Because she enjoyed that group very much.
Mm-hmm.
She was close to it. She enjoyed it. That group, she was. Now, when it came to money, there was a difference. It was not quite the same. She was not quite up to it. But she was the essence of our family.
Mm-hmm.
Papa was, he was sort of very quiet, very retired, very undemanding.
Mm-hmm.
That was more or less what he was like. Yet aware of his family. It wasn't that he was unaware of them or indifferent to them. It wasn't that. It's just that he was absorbed mostly in his religious activity. That took up a good deal of his thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal of his thinking.
He learned,
Right.
when he was home, he was reading and learning.
Yeah, that was the essence of it. But yet he was aware of his family, of his children, of his, when Judas died, he was devastated. And I remember it so much.
Didn't he die on Shabbos?
He died
That
on Shabbos. And
on
we came
Pesach.
to tell him, let us
Was-
finish.
Was it Achron Shel Pesach or?
Last day,
The last
I said
day.
Achron Shel Pesach, I remember.
But it was a Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, let us mention. Can't just stay at the shop. When he came to Abdullah, he could,
That I don't remember.
such a sad sight.
That I don't remember. I remember that day. I remember the phone
So
ringing.
bitterly, he stood there with his wine cup. He did, with a great deal of that. He was very religious. He was truly religious. I always felt that he was a truly, I don't know anybody who quite makes his faith. It was untarnished, there was never doubt. It was complete, very complete. so undemanding. Undemanding. Whatever came from God. And this is the way it should be. This is the way it was. Never a question as to whether it deserved or not. You know, some people say, why me, why this, why...
What else about the family? What else? Mother?
Did you have an aunt that you didn't like? Or you know, like, your mother didn't like her? Yeah, you once told me.
Well, there was the whole family machlokas.
Yeah.
Oh, that was because of you talk. Oh, you
That
mean
goes
about
back.
The grandma.
That goes back to
That
your
goes
grandmother.
back. Yeah, that goes back to surrogation.
Right.
Yeah, what was...
Surrogation, not my mother.
You didn't like who? Was it
Surrogation and about the cemetery.
Right.
Well, my grandmother, when her son passed away,
This is.
your mother's brother?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, that was Serge.
So
Strocher.
my grandmother was...
Serge was the idea, her eldest and her dearest and her...
See, when he died, I told you she never ate meat after that. She felt she had done something wrong, and that was her way.
Well, how old was he when he died?
About 6.
That I don't know. I only know
He died in 1917.
And his wife was
Golda.
Golda. My grandma and she had a fight because Golda wanted to be next to her husband when she died.
My husband, they never got along. Never.
Golda and Surrogisha never got along.
Golda and her husband did.
Oh, Golda and her husband never got along?
No.
And Schulze?
Yeah. So my grandma said that she couldn't lie next to him in any event.
Because the men lay on one side and the women on the other.
So she wanted to lie to
On his feet.
So she said, I'm the wife. So I think the wife, and after all, the wife does have this desire. So there was a big fight, and the family never spoke to each other again.
Which part of the family never spoke to who?
Golda and her children.
Never spoke?
To my Aunt Ida, my mother.
Because they all sided with
Their mother, of course.
their mother. That's why I never heard of Strolch's family. Because I don't ever remember hearing of them at all. I mean, I knew that I was named after
I worked for
Strolcha.
Uncle Abe. Uncle Abe was in contact with them. Uncle Abe more or less supported the daughter, who was as poor as a church mouse, and she would come to him. I don't know if she was one of her children. Must have been a child because I never saw her. I never knew her. But I knew that he was giving money to their support.
Right.
Then there was a son who used to come to visit Uncle Abe. What was his name? Something.
Who?
The one son, Sarusa's son, who used to come visit Uncle Abe.
There was
And I was in
Harry.
the office.
There was Shari, there was Sal, there was
I didn't know
Abe. There was
No. All right, but anyway, so Surrogisha wanted to be buried at the feet of her son. She wasn't concerned about being buried near her husband.
No.
No, her
Who was her
husband,
husband?
Her husband was on the other side.
her husband was in Washington Cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And she didn't want to be buried near her
I
husband.
don't know. This is.
Why not?
That's big.
So who does he lie there with, Chaim Dov?
Alone with a million other people.
He lies there alone. Chaim Dov is there alone. Surrogisha is in Mount Judah.
Yeah. You know, you've been
I've been there. Surugish is in Mount Judy. You go in the gate, you walk down, you turn left, and then you turn right.
Bush is on the right, and the two women are on the left. The wife is at his feet, and
Surugish is one over.
One over. Yeah.
And who else lies there?
But she.
With him, nobody.
No. But depends.
Wasn't it strange? I mean, that she wasn't interested in lying with her husband.
I should say, question go my.
I don't know. I really don't. I never heard anything about it. Not a question. But she, not only did she eat meat after he died, but she lived with Uncle Abe and Aunt Sarah, and they would the summertime they'd go to Rockaway, they'd take an apartment, whatever. For the summers, they would go away with their three sons, and she wouldn't go with them. So it became my, I wouldn't call it duty. No,
responsibility.
I loved it. I was very young.
But it was a responsibility just the same. You may have loved it, but
I would go and spend the summer with my grandmother. It was about a 6 or 7 room apartment on Ocean Park,
Eastern Parkway.
Beautiful apartment. And the two of us spent the whole summer together. Just the two of us. I used to love it because I loved being with her. I loved the way she thought. Her ideas of charity I found very, very pleasing. I enjoyed it because it had such a compassion and such an understanding for people. And people came to her with all kinds of questions. And you sit with her, it was like sitting with what do you call it, a knowledgeable. But you said, we weren't alone all day. People would come in with their problems, if it was a food problem, if it was a problem between husband and wife, she would sit there and listen and console and advise. And there was it was like going to a school in itself, just being with her, because you're getting so much knowledge, so much. I can't even describe the day, the time. And I was very young, but I loved it of men. I loved every man of her. And we were so isolated in the sense the family didn't come, and this one, the two of us, we walked, we talked, we sat. People came in and I would sit there while she listened to their problems and advised them. It was beautiful. As young as I was, I didn't.
How old were you?
Maybe 12 years old. 12. I enjoyed it tremendously. It was the nicest part of my life as I remember. Beautiful time. Beautiful time. She had a great capacity for loving people and showing it. And as I think I told Shari about it recently. When Aunt Sarah Sholem died, they took her to the Eastern Parkway to the yeshiva, Prime Berlin, because Uncle Abe was the first president, and he was still active and well known. So they took her there. They didn't take her inside. They took her. We were all lined up, but for some reason I was sitting with Aunt Ida Sholem. She was sitting near the window, and I was in the car. We didn't get out of the car. We sat there, and a woman comes along, and she stops. The window is down, the car, and she says to Aunt Ida, "This gate do," in Yiddish. "This gate do." And so Aunt Ida explains that this is whatever, she died in the Rahman and so forth and so on. And the woman's listening to her, and then she turns to her and she says, "Aren't you Suragish's daughter?" She says, "Yes." And she was the most wonderful woman. And I miss her even today. It was so beautiful. It was, out of nowhere, Grandmother sound asleep.
Mother's falling asleep.
Yeah, and it was such a beautiful incident.
You were, Ma.
You were snoring.
No, Mother wasn't snoring.
She almost was snoring, but not quite.
We got it on tape, Ma. It dozed off. We got it on tape.
It was really lovely. It was a lovely incident.
That sounds very nice.
It was a very lovely incident. For the woman to be, and Dinah was so, she was so thrilled. She said, to think that after all these years, this is a good many years later, that this woman not only recognized her, but remembered Grandma so well. Never, never forget her. She was one of the women that she helped in one way or another. In her own little way. Beautiful person. That's what she was. A really beautiful person.
Should we call it a night?
Yes.
Of course, we're keeping Mother up.
No, I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I would like to say.
Well, we'll put more on. We don't. If you want to say more now, say more now.
I'm trying to think.
Okay, we'll wait. We're very patient people. I mean, we've covered a lot, but I think there's a lot more
You
that
kept
we
me
can...
awake for 2 nights there. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm hoping, this isn't on tape.
It's still on. It's okay.
That it'll be out because you've got me
Well, but-
reliving my life, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't.
Has it been that terrible? I mean, tonight?
No, really not. But I really didn't
See,
want
then you
to.
didn't have to be apprehensive about it.
I didn't want to. Why?
Because there's parts of it that she'd rather not relive, but at the same time, there are parts of it that you're enjoying talking about, and you're sharing it with us
Yeah, I'm glad of that.
in a very permanent
Glad
kind of
of
way.
Because there's some things that I'd like, I'm glad that you know. But other things that I just leave.
Well, you
But
haven't mentioned that.
But I know, but you had me going through it.
See?
It's ridiculous.
Somebody want to add something now before you get up? Or are you just shifting your weight?
I'm sorry, Kate. Come by me. Maybe it's it's good. I get it off my chest.
That's good too sometimes.
Yes.
That's good too.
So it's not bad. Except that I sit here all night long. I finally picked up the People's Magazine. I said, this ought to just be a distraction. I have a theory about these things. I feel that some things are best when they get to the bottom of the ocean and you leave them stay there. You don't turn them up. You leave them there.
Yeah, some things, yeah, but sometimes you feel better.
Unremembered because.
Well, but see, sometimes you feel better if you because they're there and they bother you from the bottom of the ocean.
No, once they're down there at the bottom, they don't bother you. They're there.
Okay.
They're there. You know that they're there, but it's too far away to disturb you.
You talk about Rufio.
But if you start
No, we didn't talk about Rufio.
about who?
Ruthie.
What is that to talk about? Really, there's nothing to talk about, Ruthie. They had a very nice relationship. But she too, as far as I was concerned,
I
that was
loved
a
her
little...
dearly because she was my sister. And no matter what, I said she's my sister, and I love her.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
And no matter what happened,
What happened?
Nothing.
The little things that came up, I don't care. Much as you might think I did.
I'm sure you didn't.
I remember them, but I didn't care because she was my sister.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things.
Like what?
I mean, a lot of little things. I don't have place to repeat.
What did she want? What kind of things? I don't know.
I mean, little things.
Oh, Dubby, they were so insignificant that they don't even worth mentioning.
That's what I say.
They don't even. They have no mention. They have no
whatever. But whatever.
Whatever. It doesn't mean anything because they were very insignificant.
But she was my
But our relationship was different.
Happened, we were very
They played together, they went together, they went to the theater together, they had lunches together, they had dinners together, they went to the country together. What else should you have done together?
I didn't. No, we
You
didn't.
did? When your group went to the country, you didn't go with Ruthie and Joe?
Yes.
So, is she right or is she right?
Well, she meant the country when we went to the country for the summers.
No, I mean that when they went out
But
for
if
the
they went out,
they had a
Well, that's because they had to go to Moles.
yeah. No. But when they had their
So
car
we went,
party.
of course, we went
So you
together.
went together?
Of
So what
course.
else? You had lunches together and dinners together, and you went to the theaters together, and you went to the country together. What else, Dubby? What else?
But if she went to the country, not under.
Not with the group.
Yes,
Well,
They
I
went
never-
separately.
I don't say that you moved together with that 24 hours a day,
No, I didn't.
365 days a year. But most of your activity were together, right? Your car parties were together. Your luncheons were together. What else did you expect to do? Would you say I had the same relationship with her?
No, because she was much
I'm
too.
glad you acknowledged it. I'm glad you acknowledged it. She's funny. She's funny. I wouldn't say she was my sister, and I'd have done anything everything I could for her.
Mm-hmm.
When she needed something, nothing that I felt interfered with what I felt had to be done, and I did it. But my feelings couldn't be changed. There were many incidents. Like the time I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital the time after you were married. I got the cut from one end to the other.
Right.
My sister Dubby came every day.
When you were in, what's his name, hospital?
Doctor's hospital.
Doctor's hospital. When
My
we drove the
brother-in-law,
TV
my
set up.
brother-in-law George came every day after work. My friend Etta came every single day after work. Stayed there till they all. Sometimes Mother went home. Sometimes the three of them made out. Saturday Etta came in the morning, spent the whole day because nobody else would come. My sister Ruth, may she rest in peace. 10 days after I was there, on the Sunday, and I'll never forget it, came in, she was on her way to Radio City. She came in, she spent a half hour. She said, hello, I've got to go, I have to be at Radio City at 11 o'clock. And that was it. That was it. How would you feel? How would everybody feel? How would everybody feel? That's how, the way anybody would feel, the way I felt. Neglected, but not important. Unimportant. And this was the essence of our relationship. But then when her husband died, she suddenly wanted to be my big sister. But at that point,
It was a little late.
it was a little late for her to become my big sister.
That's
I
true.
recognized her as my sister, and I did what I thought had to be done, and if she needed help, who ran there? If something, but it was I who ran. I wouldn't say it's because the mother didn't want to, but she couldn't. I did, but I stopped not doing it. Or Anna ran, or whatever. But I can't say that our relationship was the relationship that I have with your mother.
No.
But she would have liked it to be. And she didn't realize that it just doesn't happen over there at night.
That's true.
A relationship like that is built through the years. It's part of your lifestyle. why, and I don't understand why you keep saying, what did I do anything to hurt her? Did I do anything that would hurt her deliberately or anyway? No. But I couldn't give her what she wanted, which was my full. She resented the fact that Edda was more important to me than she. Now, I don't understand. For 50 years, Edda was with me no matter what I did.
Right.
If I was in the hospital, Edda was there from morning till night. She was, after work, she didn't run home. She came and sat at my bedside. And she had lots of times to do it. A lot of times. But she never failed. She was always there. I mean, this developed a relationship.
When did you meet Edda?
But I never when,
Right after I was born.
yeah. And it developed, the relationship developed from there on in. She made the pearls trousseau. She made Sylvia's trousseau. She made Elaine's trousseau. She sewed it, she made it, she took them. Her relationship was warm and part of us in every which way. Now, Ruth would have liked, as I say, she would have liked to come back, and she walked out with me. I'm her big sister, she tells everybody. Of course, she's my big sister, chronologically, but our relationship couldn't be the relationship she had with her. They did so many things together. I never was part of any of it. Any of it. Not with any of them, for that matter. But still, there was a relationship with Dubby and George that couldn't be compared. And it sort of took away from the lack of other things. You know what I mean? They made up for it in other ways. We were together a lot. We traveled together. Whenever we could, we went to theater together. We had a relationship, let's put it at that. It was something, there was a foundation for. How could I say that I hated her? I know. But she always makes me feel like such a rat. And I draw.
Mother, do you make it? I don't think Mother wants to make you feel like.
She always says, I had the things she did, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way.
Well, she can't feel the same way about Ruth as you feel.
No, of course not. I don't expect it, dear.
Right.
I don't expect it. Because they really grew up together. They were three.
Right.
Those three were like nothing else in the family. If Milton Mashullam, rest in peace, if he were here, he would say what I'm saying. But
Ruthie was always fighting with Julius.
But their relationship...
And I was always getting in the middle.
Whatever. But that is
why I was scared.
But we didn't have a relationship even to fight with.
I'm always scared of a fight. So I was in the middle, and I always got the worst of it.
You got it from both sides.
Yeah. No. So they pushed me on a hot stove, and I burnt my hand.
I was ready for that.
Then he had a fight with Milton. She was always fighting. She was a fighting.
Running out of the house.
But
that was only when there was work to be done.
Yeah.
We called it, when she got married, we called it the taming of the shrew.
She was a very belligerent person. Very belligerent.
And he toned her down. She was always fighting. What are you fighting about?
But just the same, as I say, they grew up together, they lived together, they did things together. There was a constant relationship going, and they played cards together, so they saw each other at least once or twice a week. They had a luncheon and buffet together. I remember this kind of thing. However, enough session for today.
Alright. You tired?
I'm very tired.
Alright.
What time is it?
Very tired.
Am I right? Is it 10 to 12?